Welcome, everybody, to Dirty's Podcast, Episode 3. It's taken me 3 times to get that out. Yes, I had an absolute meltdown last week in my picks for college and NFL. Normally, not near as bad as that was. I did kill it in DraftKings, and I slayed in fantasy football this week. But I did have a meltdown of epic proportions, almost as bad as the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers. New England Patriots, are they unstoppable? Vegas says they are. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about DeShawn Jackson back to Philly. We're going to talk about Baltimore Ravens. Are they really that good? Is Miami Dolphins really that bad? We're going to talk about Dallas Cowboys. We're going to talk about preseason football, the value, risk, reward, all of that stuff. We're also going to talk about Khabib Nurmagomedov, or whatever, however you pronounce that. We're going to talk about Khabib. And then lastly, we have a brand new segment we're going to be adding to the show going forward, and we're going to save that for the end, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it because it involves you. So welcome back, guys. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody that's out there watching the podcast. It means the world to me. It really does. I know a lot of people can't afford to go over to Patreon and all that stuff. And if you can't do that, this is just another way to support the channel. And you know what? If you want to just turn it on, let it run, hit the like button, that's fine with me too. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm working on ways of making it better for you, to make it more interesting for you to want to watch it. So what you're going to see more of going forward is a lot of cutting and splicing. And the reason being is because I want to make it quick hitting, hard hitting, and very poignant for you guys. So when you're watching it, you're not seeing a lot of fluff. Okay. I'm going to start the show off tonight with a little something that I just found out real late last night. Now, again, keep in mind that these podcasts are recorded over a couple of days. It takes me a while to get all of this stuff, the information and the footage that you guys see in the corner and things like that. It takes a long time to put all that together. So it takes me a couple days to do a podcast. So by the time that you guys watch this tomorrow, this will be somewhat older news. So I'm going to temper everything that I say about the lead story here. And I'm not going to bury the lead story. And the lead story right now, and you guys have known I am notorious for jumping on Antonio Brown. I'm not going to do that right now. And the reason I'm not going to do that right now is because we don't have enough information. Basically, what we found out late last night is that he's being sued. There is a lawsuit being filed for rape and sexual assault charges against his former personal trainer. I don't know who she is yet. None of that's been released. This just came out through TMZ late last night. I just seen it today. But we'll find out more, and if I have more information by the time that I do more content tomorrow and then have it uploaded by tomorrow night, you guys will hopefully have a little bit more of a story to talk about. The only thing that I want to say is this. First of all, about 6 or 7 months ago, I remember there was a domestic dispute. It was not a domestic assault charge. It was a domestic dispute, and I'm not even sure that he actually even got charged with it, but there was an accusation. Matter of fact, I think it happened down in Florida here. I think it was in Miami. But at any rate, all I have right now for you is this report.
Brown is being sued by a woman who claims the NFL star sexually assaulted and raped her during 3 separate encounters. Now, this report states the woman behind the lawsuit says that she was hired by Brown as a personal trainer. The first incident allegedly happened in June of 2017.
We don't know anything yet. So and we've seen this happen before, haven't we? We've seen where there's some of these charges that come out of the woodwork and they're false. Okay, so I'm going to temper myself with any thought that I hope that that's not the case. Hey, listen. Nobody is a bigger critic and more bitter of a critic than me when it comes to Antonio Brown. With that said, when it comes to something like that, my problem with Antonio Brown is football related. Okay, this kind of stuff here, I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. But at the same time, we also have to be clear here that we don't want to automatically say, well, she's fronting because she's just trying to get paid, whatever. It does happen, but we can't assume that either. So right now, as it stands, that's all we know. Okay, so for now, we're going to drop it and leave it alone. By the way, welcome Scully. Scully is not part of the green screen. Wave hi, Scully. See, he's not part of the green screen. He's actually my co-host. What do you think, Scully?
I don't know, man. Some bitches be crazy. I know that much. That's all I can say on this one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I'm of the same volition myself right now. So let's talk about football here for a minute. Oh, boy. DeShawn Watson. Let me tell you something, you guys. He's not the biggest guy in the world. But the guy is about as talented as anybody out there right now. And, hey, can we address something here real quick? And I told you, going forward, we are going to be doing some episodes that are going to be touching some nerves here, because we're going to be talking about some social issues and socio-economical issues and things like that. That's not going to be in this episode. With that said, can we finally put this narrative behind us that black quarterbacks can only be athletic and make athletic moves? DeShawn Watson, Cam Newton, these guys are redefining the role of the black quarterback, aren't they? Russell Wilson is somewhat redefining that. There's some really good black quarterbacks out there that I'm thinking about the Bill Burr thing about how he makes the intelligent move. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. It's hilarious. DeShawn Watson may be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL if it weren't for the team he's playing on. They're going to get him killed. They're going to destroy that man's career. You guys remember the old and I shouldn't say old, I think they're still around, and once in a while you walk into a Denny's or Dave and Buster's and they still have them. The claw machine, you stick your quarter. Well, when I was young, it was a quarter. Now they think it's $1 or $2, but you stick your dollar in there, and then that claw comes down, and you're pushing the joystick, and the claw tries to pick up that stuffed animal so you can give it to your daughter, your girlfriend, whatever. I wish we could do that and just pick him up and put him on behind the O-line of the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Dallas Cowboys. Put him somewhere. I think he'd be better behind almost any line in the NFL. This guy is going to get murdered back there. And speaking of O-lines, we'll talk about this, but it was a huge part in the Cleveland Brown game. But we'll get to that in due time. But DeShawn Watson, here's what I fear, is that the man is going to take too many hits before he can reach the level of his potential. And the level of his potential with DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller the fourth, it's mind-blowing. It could be so lethal with an O-line. And listen, unless you're the New England Patriots, you can't have it all. Okay? You just can't have it all. You can't have the perfect defense, that with defensive linemen that can all rush the quarterback, and that you have outside linebackers that can all get sacks, and middle linebackers that can all drop back in coverage and cover your number 2 receiver. They don't all have the great quarterback. They don't all have, the Le'Veon Bell or Ezekiel Elliott. Nobody can have it all. But when it comes to that O-line, they don't have a single point of protection. And it is so unfortunate. And if I were Deshaun Watson, we're going to get to Deshaun Jackson. If I were Deshaun Watson, I would be begging for a trade. I'd pull in Antonio Brown just to get the hell out of there. By the way, that might be the new way to go now for people. He just set a precedence. But that might not be a bad move for him. Get him out of there, because he's looked at as a good quarterback right now. But as of right now, he has no shot at a Hall of Fame career. Zero chance. And it's all because of coaching and the O-line. Got to get it fixed, man. Got to get it fixed. I'm begging you, DeShawn, do yourself a favor and either go to your general manager, who I'm not sure who that is in Texas, go to your general manager and say, either make some trades right now and get me an offensive line. Maybe you have to give up Will Fuller. Obviously you can't give up DeAndre Hopkins, but maybe you give up Will Fuller. Get at the very least, the left tackle. Get your blind side covered. So you got at least one person on that line that can save your career. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I do that. I go skip the head coach. We'll talk about that. Skip him for now. Go direct to your general manager and say, either get me out of here or get me a left tackle, or I'm done. And then start some antics and get out of there. Another team will want you, Deshaun Watson. I promise you. There are probably 25 teams that would love to have you. Do it, man. Okay, I got to be careful about how much video I show, because I actually got copyrighted for my second episode. So I'm not going to show the video of this, but Bill O'Brien, who is the head coach of the Houston Texans, for the life of me, I can't figure it out. This is like, I coached CYO football for several years. And I can tell you that somebody with as little experience as I have in coaching, and I basically just coached my kids, okay? I somewhat coached my oldest son. I coached my second oldest son, and then my third oldest son I coached a lot. I know the game of football, okay? And as a matter of fact, one of these days I'm going to show you guys a play that I guarantee you will, if you need one more score in your game and you're out there coaching Pop Warner or CYO football, something like that, if you want to play, hit me up and I'll put it on one of these podcasts. It's a guaranteed first down, probably touchdown. Guaranteed it'll work. I promise you. Anyway, so I'm going to show you a picture right here. And this is the lineup. This is his coverage right now that he's got set against Drew Brees, Sean Payton, I'm not a big fan of Sean Payton. Oh, that guy. Anyway, I just hate his arrogance. It just gets under my fucking skin like you can't believe. And I'm not sure why he's so arrogant. You haven't won anything. But at any rate, here you have Sean Payton, who you know is going to be aggressive. They only need a field goal to win. And you go into, I wouldn't even call this a prevent defense. I would call this a prevent against the Hail Mary defense. I mean, the defense that Bill O'Brien put on the field is absolutely mind-boggling. I, for the life of me, as this was happening, I was screaming at the TV. I'm like, what in the fuck are you doing? How this guy is a head coach in the NFL is mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. You'd have got beat in a Pop Warner game with that fucking kind of mindset. It absolutely blew my mind. And of course, they got the first down. And actually, no, they didn't get the first down. They didn't need the first down. They got it close enough, so they got the field goal, won the game. And I'm telling you, get that claw hammer out, or that claw machine out, and pick up Deshaun Watson and drop him on another team, please. Somebody do it. Just absolutely mind-boggling. Okay, so in the meantime, here's what I've found out. I checked, this is back to the AB stuff here. I found some more information out here. And apparently there was some emails going back and forth or something. And I'm going to post the original one that was on Instagram. I'm not sure who sent this out, to be honest with you, but I'm going to leave it up for you. Now, I'm going to read this. What I'm reading is the bigger one because the small one's too small for me to read. So it's going to be slightly different because, like, he says, I jacked my dick on your. Okay, so this says I jerked off on your back. Okay, so it's stuff like that. They're going to change it up a little bit to make it more pleasable to the eye for some people, I guess. I don't understand that. Just spit it the way it was. But anyways, it says, I jerked off on your back, and this is in reference to a 2017 allegation. Slept with you in bed. Forget what you think you did to help me as a trainer. I was an all-pro player before I even knew you. You contacted me first, not the other way around. You had a hotel room and decided to stay at my house and fell asleep on my couch. And this is possibly in reference to June of 2018 allegation. My baby mama tricked you. You tried to put me on blast publicly. You are a failure, going around telling people you own a gym. What are you really going to tell people, you lying bitch? Thought it would be easy to extort me, but it's not. You and your mother tried to con me by coming here under the guise of God, like you were talking about religion with me. Next time you and your mom try to target someone to extort, make sure you pick the right person, you dummies. Your mom is controlling your life like she's the one who is going to benefit from extorting me. My friends and I got a laugh about me ejaculating on your back. You are a disgrace to young girls. You are a failed gymnast living in the past and living at your mom's house. You should be grateful I let you around my charmed life of luxury. My baby mama knew you were trouble and was on to your scheming ways. You played yourself. Taylor is seeking compensation for physical injuries, pain and suffering, humiliation, embarrassment, stress and anxiety, loss of self-esteem and loss of self-confidence, and emotional pain and suffering, according to her attorney. So, listen, man, I don't know what's going on, but let me just say this. The optics are really, really bad. Now, she is, in the lawsuit, understand, she's claiming $75,000 minimum. Well, my first thought was, oh, so she's only suing for $75,000. That's what she's doing. She's trying to get a quick hit, get something out of it, right? But as I've done some more reading and on this, and apparently this is a tactic that attorneys do when they feel like they've got a solid case. And apparently her attorney and a couple of other attorneys that have been interviewed that specialize in this see a lot of money in her future. And also the fact that she has made herself available. A lot of times when you see these kind of accusations and these types of lawsuits that come forth, they're Jane Doe's, or they just put their initials or something like that. She's putting her name out there, and she's made herself available to the NFL and media and everybody else. A lot of times in these cases, when it's just for pure extortion, they don't do that. They want to hide. They want to stay under. I know Ben Roethlisberger had two accusations. The one in North Carolina, and then there was one in Las Vegas. The one in Vegas, it was. I don't even think there's anything to that one. They didn't even press on it anymore, really. But these are bad optics for Antonio, giving his track record, his past. And, I think we need to slow down, pump the brakes a little bit here with trying to psychoanalyze Antonio Brown by saying that he's, maybe there's something mentally going wrong. Okay, we're not psychiatrists here. None of us went to school for it, so let's not pretend like we know the signs that somebody is having mental problems. Okay, because then what you're doing then is you're excusing behavior, and we can't have that. I'm not gonna have that in my head. I'm not going to allow that to go on in my head. I think what happens to a lot of these guys, and you remember T.O.? You remember what happened with him? I mean, he was on top of the world. He's making millions and millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden he's begging to be on a reality show. And you hear these stories over and over again, and it's no different than somebody that grew up in a trailer and all of a sudden they hit the lottery for $30 million, and 3 years later they're broke again. Well, there's a reason for this, and that's because they're just not prepared. Okay? They're just not prepared. And I blame the NFL. I blame the NFL for this. I think they should be doing a hell of a lot more than whatever it is that they're doing. I know that they have some programs out there, but I don't like them. I don't think that it's near enough for what these guys are doing, because this is continually happening all of the time. Okay? And, you know, I think they should have a required course. You know, for anybody that ever enters themselves eligible for the NFL draft, I think they should have to pass a course. And yes, you're going to have some people that are going to squeak through the system and work it in their way and all that stuff. But what if it reaches somebody like Antonio Brown or T.O. or Chad Ochocinco, where these guys are on top of the world, and the next thing you know, they're fucking broke? Well, that's because they're broke because they're making these terrible, terrible mistakes. So, you know, and when I say I blame the NFL, I'm talking about just that part, okay? I'm talking about going from having nothing to having the world in the palm of your hands. Just that part. And here's the problem for the NFL. It's the 100th season. Nobody in the world is talking about the fact that it's the 100th season. I remember the 75th season. As a matter of fact, I have a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey, it's got the 75th anniversary patch on it. I think it's Barry Foster. I think that's one. I have a old Barry Foster jersey. I think it might be the Prison Stripe one or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, but the optics of this look terrible for AB, and I am not going to sit here and pile on AB because I don't want this to be true, and I hope that it's not true. I hope that she is just
one crazy bitch.
Exactly. Thank you, Scully. I hope that is the case, because AB has had a storied career, you know, and he's probably a first, maybe a second ballot Hall of Famer already. My problem with AB has always been football only, football related, and it pisses me off to no end. I hate what he did. I hate what he did to the Steelers. I hate what he did to the Raiders. And then he gets fucking rewarded by going to get to play with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. Where is karma on this one? That's what bothers me about AB. But I don't want it to end like this. If it ends like this, it's a tragedy. You know, it's you know, maybe not quite Aaron Hernandez tragedy, but it's a tragedy nonetheless. And I just I don't know, man. But that's all I wanted to add to this for right now. But the optics don't look good. And from what I understand, she also has some text messages where apparently he sent her a text message saying that you made me feel like I raped you. It's not looking good, man. It's terrible. It looks bad. But anyway, so we're going to move on to something a little more pleasant here. Pleasant for you, maybe, not for me. We're going to talk about my picks from last week a little bit. We might gloss over that a little bit because I want to. But we'll get to that. And then we're going to talk about picks for this upcoming week here. I feel a lot better about it. By the way, just so you guys know, I wasn't the only one that struggled last week with picks. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how this works, basically I get 1 point for a win, -1 point for a loss. My lock pick, if I win, I get 2 points. If I lose, I lose 2 points. So out of a possible 10 points so far this year, I have 6. And what screwed me up really badly, to be honest with you, was the Philadelphia-Washington game. I'm still in shock at what happened in that first half. I don't see that happening again, and I'm actually picking in that game this week here, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, we're going to talk about college football. First of all, you guys know I'm a Notre Dame fan, all right? But Notre Dame, 7th in the country? No fucking way. No fucking way do they belong. They're not top 10. Michigan is 10th right now. Michigan does not belong in the top 10. I'll tell you who does belong in the top 10, and I think they're 14th. Michigan State. That defense, Big Ten better watch out. We got some sleepers here. Michigan State, Penn State. Some serious sleepers here. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that this comes down to Ohio State and Michigan. And as a matter of fact, I think most people preseason, even though they had Ohio State at 5 in the preseason, I think that a lot of people had Michigan probably winning the Big Ten, at least the Big Ten East. So, first pick of the week is Michigan State at Arizona State, 4 p.m. Okay, you don't need to know that. Michigan State -14. Taking Michigan State, losing the points. Michigan State wins probably by 27. I don't think maybe 20, 21, 24, 27. I don't think Arizona puts up more than a touchdown and a field goal in that game. Okay, Penn State versus Pitt. Now, I picked against Pitt last week, and that was my lock pick. I lost 2 points on that one because of what happened to them the previous week. But Penn State, they're for real. And Penn State's given up 17 points. Not enough. Taking Penn State. By the way, we got an extra pick this week because I feel that cocky about this, and I got to make up some ground here. So Notre Dame, number 7 Notre Dame versus New Mexico. Notre Dame is giving up 35 points. No way. Notre Dame doesn't put up those kind of numbers. Okay? Listen, Ian Book is a good quarterback. And I honestly think he's got a legitimate shot if he can change some of his footwork. His footwork needs some work. Arm like a cannon. Definitely good with the deep ball. Accuracy is really solid. But he still has a lot to he's got a lot of growing to do still. Notoriously, Notre Dame just doesn't put up those kinds of numbers. 35 is too many. Taking New Mexico. Sorry, I love you Fighting Irish, but I got to take New Mexico on 35 points. I can't. I got to do it. Now, by the way, that is my lock pick, too, by the way. So that's worth 2 points either way. All right, just a couple of games that I wanted to mention that could be. Well, I'm sorry, just one game I wanted to mention that I'm not picking, so don't count this down. But it could be a trap game, and that is Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State is giving up 16 points. I would stay away from that one with a 10-foot pole. And when I say trap game, I'm not saying Indiana's going to win. I just don't. Let me say this. I could see Ohio State not being able to cover the 16 points. All right, so moving on to the NFL. This one, I should use this as my lock, but I'm not going to because I think it's just too easy. Tampa at Carolina. Panthers are giving up 6 points. You're taking Carolina on this one. This is a no-brainer. I really should make this my lock pick, but it's just too easy. I think Carolina wins by 13, at least. Cam Newton, he had a really great interview this week, by the way. He was fucking hilarious. But enough with the fucking headgear. What is that, man? You drive me nuts with that. You look like an old lady. Okay, Cowboys in Washington. Before I pick this, let's talk a little bit about the Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys. I've never liked the Cowboys because this goes way back to the old Steeler days, the old 70s Steel Curtain days. It was just a huge rivalry. The rivalry between the Cowboys and the Steelers for a long time was way bigger than even the Browns and the Steelers, especially when the Browns and the Browns weren't very significant. They were pretty decent when they had Brian Sipe, somewhat decent with Bernie Kosar, but for a long time, it was just the real rivalry was with the Dallas Cowboys because of the Super Bowls. Dak Prescott, I have to admit, is very impressive. I didn't think that he was going to make it. And I don't have to tell you that, but that was just my thought as little as the beginning of last season. I just didn't think he had what it takes. Got a good arm. Not exactly a cannon, but he's got a good arm. He can throw the deep ball. Fairly accurate. But last week, and I don't like going off of week one, and we're going to talk about that, okay? You always have to pump the brakes on week one, man. We see crazy things happen, and then we just run off with it, and we'll talk about that. But I have to say, man, he looked dynamite last week. He looked scary. So, and we're going to talk about preseason, I told you about that too. We're going to talk about preseason football, the value in it. And Ezekiel Elliott is going to be an example of that. But in this game, I'm going to continue with the picks here. In this game, Cowboys in Washington, Cowboys giving up 5, taking the Cowboys. It's an interdivision game. Those things can get ugly. Sometimes those games end up 7-3, 10-7. But I just based on the way they played last week, I've got to take the Cowboys. There's just no other way about it. So my lock pick is this. And like I said, I could easily have I want the record to show. They could have easily have made the Tampa-Carolina game my lock pick, but I made it a little bit tougher on myself. Chargers are only giving up 2.5 points against the Lions. I believe they're playing in San Diego. Pretty sure of that. So I don't think it's enough. I think that the Chargers will cover the 2.5. I actually think they might win by 3. Because Lions can put up, Matt Stafford can put up numbers, okay? And Galladay is a solid receiver. They just never seem to be able to get over that hump for some reason. I don't know what the deal is with them, but they just can't get over that hump. So I don't like them. That's my lock pick. Chargers over Lions, -2.5 for the Chargers. Okay, so just a couple things, other things I wanted to mention to you. We mentioned DeShawn Watson. We were talking about him earlier too, but I think it's important to talk about a very integral and very smart decision by Philadelphia Eagles. They brought back in DeShawn Jackson, and I mean he showed he was back game one. That is, Carson Wentz now has a serious target, and I think that changes the entire complexity to the NFC. We have some real strongholds now. There's not a Miami Dolphins in the NFC really right now. Possibly Arizona, but I doubt that. I think Kyler will get his feet underneath him, and I think he's going to be okay. But DeShawn Jackson, he can stretch the field, and obviously they have a defense. I was just talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Well, as impressed as I am with what they did, I was every bit, even though that first half looked putrid against the Redskins. Keep in mind, these divisional games can be that way. So DeShawn Jackson I think he might be a game changer for that whole complexity of the NFC East. So I just keep that in mind. I think that it's going to be a battle between Dallas and Philadelphia. Hopefully for them, they don't beat each other up too badly and get into these wars, not just with each other, but with other teams because of each other, that Seattle slides right through there unscathed. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's the way it's looking to me right now. Seattle, Philly, Dallas, the NFC. But DeShawn Jackson, we had to bring him up this week because keep an eye on that. So we got to talk about the meltdowns here. Pittsburgh Steelers, Sunday night. Now, I don't know what the deal is, but New England just has Pittsburgh's number, especially in Foxborough. I can't put my finger on it, but they were so badly outplayed, outcoached, that they should be embarrassed, and I'm sure that they are. I'm sure that every person on that team and every coach on that team was completely embarrassed walking out of Foxborough. It was an absolute nightmare for the Steelers, and as a Steelers fan, it was tough to watch. Preseason, because I'm a Steelers fan, I was paying a little extra close attention to the role players, and in preseason, I heard so much about Nate. Dante Moncrief, man, I don't know, man. Moncrief dropped 3 of them, I think. Ben it seemed like he didn't have much self-awareness at all. He got nailed from behind one time for a fumble. Listen, I don't care what you say. It's either Dallas or Pittsburgh have the best offensive line in football. You can debate that amongst yourselves all you want. You can scream at the screen right now, but last week was not indicative of just Pittsburgh's offensive line, because their offensive line, they're all pros, from left tackle to right tackle. So Marquise Pouncey, I think, is probably the best center in football. So I don't understand why Connor can't run the ball. I get that he's not Le'Veon Bell, and I knew going into this season, and I could tell by last season, Connor looked good, but he was, I mean, we're talking heads and tails difference between Le'Veon Bell and James Conner. You know, AB, peace out, man. It was good to see you go. Le'Veon, that one hurt, man. That one hurt. Le'Veon Bell said last week Pittsburgh had a good thing going, and they did. And I'm not sure what took place with Le'Veon. I get AB, but I think he actually ended up taking less money with the Jets. I really don't know what the hell happened there. I don't think anybody really truly knows what happened, but clearly something took place. So James Conner's not the answer. Jalen Samuels is not the answer. And what I would like to see happen is give up a fucking second round. I know they want a first round pick for him, but I say you give up a second round draft pick, go grab Melvin Gordon from San Diego, bring him in. James Conner is not the answer. I love James Conner. I love the story, Hodgkin's lymphoma, the whole bit. Love the story, but he is not an NFL starting running back. He's barely a third down back. Pittsburgh way overrated him. I knew last year that they had him overrated. I just was never at any point in the season. He had a couple games where he put up well over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns. I still knew it was the offensive line. It wasn't James Conner. It was the play actions with, AB and then Juju, Nate Washington. I don't know what the hell to make of him. He was another one preseason, just like Dante Moncrief preseason. That's all I heard about was how good these guys were playing in the preseason. I watched them. They look good in the preseason. Moncrief, it's almost like he's a plant in there to destroy everything. I don't know, man, but that was an absolute meltdown. However, with all of that said, I am not that concerned about the Steelers yet. They do have some growing to do on defense. They've got some gelling to do. And obviously, Devin Bush he's a rookie. That was his first game. He's got some growing to do, and we're going to go through some growing pains with him. However, I think, by the end of the season, he's going to be an absolute beast. I was disappointed that TJ Watt could just never seem to get through. Vince Williams, Cam Hayward, where were these guys, man? That was a concern for me. But I've seen them play so well that I'm not concerned as far as the entire season goes. Pittsburgh bounces back. However, this weekend, Seattle, not a good comeback game. Boy, I could see that possibly getting ugly. I think it goes one of two ways. Either Pittsburgh completely dominates Seattle, or they could get spanked again. And if that happens and Pittsburgh goes down 0-2 and Baltimore wins, yikes. Cleveland Browns. I think Browns fans should be much more concerned than they are. That offensive line, who's the guy? Olivier something, the pass rusher that they, I don't know if I have that in here or not. Nah, I don't think I do. But they gave up Kevin Zeitler to get him. And, Olivier Vernon. Yes. But they gave up Kevin Zeitler I haven't had any respect for a Cleveland Brown in 30 years, 20 years, okay? Not a single one, except for Joe Thomas, their left tackle. My opinion, a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he'll get in or not because he was on the Browns. But the guy was an absolute animal, great left tackle. I always had a lot of respect for Joe Thomas. Kevin Zeitler was a very, very good, solid offensive lineman. You give him up for a pass rusher when you have a rookie head coach that's never been a head coach, a now second year Baker Mayfield that really didn't have a full season last year, so kind of a rookie. You've got OBJ who's going to scream for the ball. You've got Jarvis Landry, Njoku. You've got all of these people that are going to be wanting the ball, but you've got nobody to protect Baker Mayfield. He was running for his life. Here's the problem. He's not DeShawn Watson. He's not Russell Wilson. Okay? That's just reality. He's not Kyler Murray. He's none of these guys that are going to be able to run around and get away from these. He can't outrun a defensive tackle. He certainly doesn't stand a chance against a safety blitz or corner blitz or a linebacker, a stunt. I'd be concerned, Browns fans. If I were you, I'd be a lot more concerned than you are. With that said, were they as bad as they looked against Tennessee? No, because Tennessee's a good team. Tennessee's a very underrated team coming into the season. I don't think they're quite as underrated now. I think people might take them a little bit more seriously. But I don't think the Browns make the playoffs. So let's pump the brake on all of this Super Bowl or even deep in the playoffs kind of talk. I don't know, man. And then lastly, before we get to the final part of something new that we're going to introduce, New England Patriots. Set aside all the AB stuff. Vegas has New England at a plus 350 right now to win the Super Bowl. That means you can't make any money. There's almost no money to be made. You have to bet $100 to win $350. Miami Dolphins, for example, they're plus 50,000. All right. So you bet $100 if Miami Dolphins win the Super Bowl, you win $50,000. Great odds. It's never going to happen, but that's why they're a plus 50,000. Vegas has New England at a plus 350. Are they that good? Yes. Yes, they are. It's not just the dismantling of Pittsburgh. It's just that you never know how to defend that team. And their weapons aren't like just crazy weapons. It's not like they have Ezekiel Elliott or Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. It's James White and Sony Michel. Don't get me wrong, they're really, really good. They're better than James Conner, but it's not like they're these overwhelming guys that'll just kill you, just run it up the gut and kill you like that. They don't even have to throw to a tight end now. And Tom Brady, he is unbelievable. And so you just never know how. You can't plan for him. You don't know if they're going to run it. You don't know if they're going to throw it. You don't know where they're going to throw it. And then Tom Brady, he's just a computer, Tampa 2, okay, we're going to run a post pattern. He's just that quick. And I don't know how this team gets beat this year. This could be an undefeated season. This could be a 17-0 season, 19-0, whatever the fuck it is, 19-0. Yeah, they're that good. It's a scary team, and there's going to be some trap games for them that they're going to have to be very cognizant of. Okay, Cleveland. I think Cleveland beat them last year. Miami beat them last year, if I'm not mistaken. You always have to be careful of these trap games, but make no mistake, Bill Belichick is going to remember those losses from last year, and he's going to remember the mistakes that were made, and he's going to correct them. He always does. So I'm not predicting they're going undefeated. I'm saying it's a possibility. That could happen. So,
no fucking way, Dirty.
No? He says no. Well, what do you got?
Baltimore Ravens all the way.
He really is
Watch,
dead.
you'll see.
Brain dead. Okay, so anyway, we got a new segment, and that is Would You Rather? So, you guys in the comment section, we're going to play Would You Rather. And whatever gets voted on, the top 5 Would You Rathers that get voted on, I'm going to answer. So, go ahead and line them up in the comment section. We'll have a little fun with this, all right? So, the question is, would you rather do this or would you rather do that? And I have to pick between the two. So the top 5, so if we've got 30 people in there, would you rather, the top 5 that get voted on the most, those are the ones that I'm going to pick. All right? You guys have a good week. I will see you. I'll be doing Patreon Thursday tonight, and then I will see you guys this weekend. All right? Everybody take care of each other. Everybody love each other. ELE.
Because we only have one rule on this team. What is that rule, Twiggy?
ELE.
That's right, ELE. What does ELE stand for?
Everybody love everybody.
Everybody love everybody. Right there up on the wall.